Welcome back to part 2. In the previous one we set up so that basically you could get them up on the screen like so. Now let us set up a details panel. Head over into your systems, into your LootCrate system and into your interface. Over on our interface here we're going to select a new widget blueprint and I'm going to call it WBP_crate details. And you can dock that to the top. Crate details will be the side on screen. It will have two borders, same as the other two borders we made, so get one in there like so. Pad it to 4 in all, and the second border I'm going to do a grayish, I think, maybe the first border, we'll see. Inside here I'm going to add a vertical box. This vertical box is going to be variable and I'm going to call it crate contents vert box like so. Head over into your graph and now we need a reference here, so I'm going to do crate ref. We need to know what's inside the crate, right? So crate ref is the name and we're going to call our BP master crate class reference. I'm going to make it editable and exposed on spawn. Remove your pre-construct and your tick and get your crate ref out. We're going to get the defaults. This time we do not need the other information from the defaults. We just need the one from the crate itself, not from the parent. So we can leave it like this. We're going to do a for each loop out of that. We want to break the array element to get access to the item and the rarity. And now we need to make a new widget, because here we're going to do a create widget, but we haven't created that widget yet. So let's get to that. Right click in your interface folder, create a new widget blueprint. Call it WBP_crate details entry. Open that up. Set it to the side on screen and add a horizontal box to it. Inside this horizontal box, we're going to add a text. This is going to be called our rarity text. It's going to be variable. I'm going to set the font to be regular. You can now Control D to duplicate. Well, actually the first one, let's add a padding to the right of let's say 30. And now let's duplicate it like so. And we actually don't need the padding on that. So there we go. The second one, we're going to call crate details entry text. Compile and head into your graph. We want two variables here, a text and a e_item rarity one. So let's add that. Add a new variable, call it entry text. That's going to be a text and it's going to be editable and exposed on spawn. Duplicate that, call it rarity. And that's going to be our e_item rarity. Remove your pre and your tick and let us make a new function. I'm going to call it handle rarity colors. What we're going to do here now is one way to handle this. We are going to do it this way. There is probably 1,000 better ways, but we are going to do it this way. We're going to get our rarity and we're going to switch on that enum. If it is uncommon, well, we're going to get our rarity text and we're going to set color and opacity. Expand this structure pin like so. Copy this down to all of these. So 4 of them, plug in the corresponding nodes. And if it is uncommon, I want it to be green. If it is rare, I want it to be blue. If it is epic, I want it to be pink. And I want it to be orange-ish, yellow-orange. I don't know what that is. Yellow-orange. If it is legendary, and plug that into a return node. Head into your event graph again. On your construct, handle rarity colors. Once that is done, you can get your rarity text again. You can set that text. What do we want to set it to? Well, we want to set it to the enum. So enum to string is going to give us the correct one. And then it's going to convert it from string to text. And that is what we need into our set text. You can get your crate entry text, set text out of that as well. And this one is simple. You just want it to be the entry text. Now we can head back to your crate details and you can call that crate details entry. Out of the entry text, we want to format that text. We want to say curly bracket, item name, close curly bracket, space, dash, space, curly bracket, percentage sign, close curly bracket, percentage sign. And now we got the 2 new nodes here that we can plug in. The item I want to open up the defaults from. And let us move this out a little bit so it looks a little bit better. split that structure pin, and the item name goes into the item name like so. The percentage is the rarity, so the rarity goes into the percentage sign. And then you can plug in the rarity into the rarity node on our details create. Now we need a way to call this, so let's head over onto our create entry, into the graph, and override on mouse enter. On mouse enter, I want to create widget. I want to create the details widget, and it requires a create reference that we have on our create entry here. Now I want to right click anywhere, set tool tip. That is not the right one. Set tool tip, and it's the widget one. The return node of our create details goes into the widget, and this is going to make the one that we create here the tooltip of the create entry that we have. If I now click play, I can now hover over, and you can see that we have some issues over here. So let's figure out what that issue is, what those issues are. So when we hover over, we get the create details. Okay, what is happening here? Let us see if I do a construct. On the construct, I get the length of the array. That's going to tell me if there's anything in it. So it's telling me that there's 4 things in it, so it does work. So what is happening? Oh, I can see it. We have made the details widget. They are here, however, they are not added to our vertical box. So add child to vertical box. Return node goes into the content. Hit play, and now we got our little details panel here. Now we need to figure out how are we gonna actually unlock this. So thankfully on our create details here, we have on our create entry, we have a button. We need to make it variable so that we have access to the onClicked event. So on our create entry, when we click it, we want to do some things. We do need a new interface though. So let us set that up. Right click in your interface folder, user interface, widget blueprint. Use widget, call it WBP_reward interface. Open that up. Here we're going to have a canvas, and we're going to leave it as fill screen. We're going to add an image to our canvas. This image is going to be variable. We're going to call it create image. I'm going to set it to size to content, and I'm going to change the image size to 512 by 512. I'm going to move it into the middle, and I'm going to do in the search bar up here, I'm going to search for render. I'm going to set render opacity to be 0. I also want to add a horizontal box to this canvas panel. Set it to where is it? Size to content. Click your anchors, Control Shift to set it to the middle left, and make this one variable and call it reward or box. I also want to add a border into my canvas. This one is gonna be, I'm gonna make it 8 pixels in the x-axis and 128 maybe in the other one. Actually 4 might be good enough on the x-axis. I'm gonna move it to the middle. I'm gonna set the visibility to be hidden on this. And then actually maybe I do need to, no, the other ones are fine for now. I'm gonna call this one my selection border. I'm gonna make a variable, and I'm gonna give it a color, because why not? Give it pink. There we go. Beautiful. And I'm gonna add another one, another image to our canvas panel. This is gonna be my reward image. I'm gonna make it not a testable self only. I'm gonna anchor it to the middle, size to content, and change it to 512 by 512. Also gonna add render opacity of 0 on this reward image. Let's head to the graph for a second and see if there's anything we can do right off the bat. We want to remove all of these. Right click, custom event, call it generate reward. It's going to have an input, which is going to be my BP_master crate. So BP, where is it? Master crate. It's going to be a class reference. I'm going to call it crate to open. I'm going to right click and promote that to a variable. crate to open ref. Then you can get your crate to open ref. You can get the defaults, and now we need the item info. And you can right click to split that structure pin. Get your crate image, set brush from texture, and plug in the icon like so. Now let us head over into our designer for a second. And we're gonna get our crate image here, and we're gonna go to animations. Well, actually our crate image, we can also set it to be not hit testable self only. Go to animations, add a new animation. This is gonna be the open chest animation. Select it, head over to your track and select the crate image. Actually, open crate would probably be better. And we're going to span this over 3 seconds, but we're going to need to add a track here. I'm going to add a render opacity track, and I'm going to do over on 3 seconds like so, and then I want it to be set to 1. I can head over into a graph again, and we can get our open chest animation and play animation from that. We want to go immediately into a sequence, and we want to get a new variable, which is going to be, we'll add a new variable, and it's going to be called actual contents to add. It's going to be bp underscore master item class, set it to be an array, and we want to go into grab it out like so and select search for length. Check if length is less than 10. That goes into a branch. Do a right click custom event, type in retrig, and plug that into the branch as well. If it is less than 10, well, then we want to get our crate to open ref. We want to get the defaults. We want to do a for each loop. Let's actually move this over here. Do a for each loop. Out of that, we want to break the array element. We want to get our rarity and divide that by 100%, right? And out from the return node, we want to do a random bool with weight, and that goes into a branch. And if this passes through, so basically it's just gonna, well, you can see here, get a random chance with a specified weight. Range of weight is 0 to 1. So 0 is basically 0%, 1 is basically 100%. 0.6 will return true 60% of the time. So what we have here is basically dividing the number that we are using, which is a scale of 0 to 100, and dividing that by 100 and getting the random weight by that. So if this passes true, then we're gonna get our actual contents to add, and we're gonna add the item to that array. Like so. If once this is done, we're going to go into delay, just so we don't get a forever loop. 0.0001, like so. And we're going to call our retrig, which we made up here. If this is false, however, so we have filled up our actual contents to add, well, then we're going to get our actual contents to add. We're going to promote that to a variable. I'm going to call it cached contents to add. We are then going to do a for each loop out of that cache, and we're going to get our actual contents to add, and we're going to add the element to it. We do this because if we did the actual contents to add and did a for each loop and added to it, it would be a forever loop if we just continue adding. We want to get our length check here. We want to go out of completed. We want to check if the length of the actual contents to add is less than 100. So we're doing this until we reach 100. So onto the branch, into the completed, like so. Get your delay node. If this is true, well, we want to delay it by a silly number and move back into the loop until we reach 100. If this is 100, however, okay, we're done adding. So we want to get our array. We want to shuffle our array out of the false. Then we want to get our actual contents to add, do a for each loop after we shuffled it, and we want to add it to the reward horizontal box. we do not have a widget to add here yet, so let's make that. Right click in your interface folder, create a new user interface, call it wbp_create reward entry. Create reward entry will start with a canvas panel. However, this is going to be decide on screen. We're also going to make a image, which we're going to call item icon. It's going to be variable. I'm going to set the image size to be 128 by 128, and I'm going to size it to content, and now we can add a text as well. This text is for our purposes only, for debugging purposes, and it's going to be called index text. Make it variable, size it to content. I'm going to do 999, and I'm going to give it a outline of 1, just so we can see it. Head into your graph, remove everything except for the construct, add 2 new variables. First one is the item, which is bp_master item class, editable and exposed on spawn. Second one is the index, which is for our debug purposes, which is an integer, editable, exposed on spawn. Get your index text out, set text from that, plug it into the construct, get your index, plug it into the text. It's going to convert it to an integer. Well, the integer is going to be converted into a text, converted into a text, and then plugged into the text. Get the item icon, set brush from texture. The texture comes from our item, default, and icon, like so. Now we can go back to our reward interface. On our actual content.loop, we're going to create widget. It's going to be the reward, create reward entry. The item is the element. The index is the reward horizontal box. So if you now take the reward horizontal box and you add child to that horizontal box, which we are going to do, if you added the index later, it would be 1 number behind. So we want to add it here before we add it to the box, and we want to get the children count before we add it, like so. So to explain it a little bit, we're getting our actual contents to add, which is going to start at 0. We're checking if it's less than 10. Okay, if it's less than 10, we're going into our crate reference, checking what it has to offer us, doing a random boolean weight test. If it passes the test, so the percentage chance for it to be added gets true, then we add it to our actual contents. We do this until we get 10 of them, 10 of the items in a box. Then we get the 10 items and we cache them. We cache them so we don't get a forever loop here, adding 1 to it all the time basically. And we continue to add to the actual contents with the cached ones until we reach 100. When we reach 100, we shuffle the entire array and then we add it into our horizontal box. Now let us head into our then one. We want to get our open crate animation that we have here. We want to get the end time and want to add a delay. And actually the time is running out on us. We have already gone too far. This will be a part 3 coming out, and that's going to finish everything up. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, please leave a like. If you haven't subscribed, do so, and let me know in the comments if you need any help. I'm also available on Discord sometimes when I feel like it. So there's a chance there as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in part 3. Bye bye.